This is the grand tour through the Mosque of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family, and also the historic sites that are inside. Let's start with this open hatch that is part of a sliding dome. There are 28 sliding domes that are all made from Spanish wood, and they are decorated with Islamic decorations. They are part of the Saudi expansion, and here if you look closely next to the door of Sultan Abd al-Majid al-Uthmani, you see the difference between the two walls, which is the Saudi expansion and the 7th Ottoman expansion done by Sultan Abd al-Majid himself. Look at the difference between the walls. There are two open structures that are very great in the mosque, and they're called al-Haswa. Originally, in all of the mosque, there are no roofs, only openness. There is a Haswa that has the names of all of the Imams. If you focus on the name of Imam al-Hassan, peace be upon him, and 2 meters below, you would see a piece of gold that says the western border. Also, this column and all the columns to the left are the northern border of the Mosque of the Prophet at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. Anywhere you look, you would find something that is splendorous. For example, look at this clock. It works by Arabic time, so it has been 4 hours since the sun has risen, even though it is 11 p.m. right now. And right below it to the left, as you would see here, you would see a golden plaque. It says La ilaha illallah. It used to say the western border also. If you go out facing the Qibla, you would see one of the 3 old doors that were in the original mosque in the time of the Prophet. It is called the door of Atika or the door of Rahma, and right in front of it is where the house of Atika used to be. If you go outside and look to the right, this is the direction of the mountain of Sal', the place in which the Ma'arakat al-Ahzab has happened. It is 500 meters away from here. In this direction, the first step of umbrellas, if you move 9 to the front, which is 3 from the last, you would see Dar al-Nabigha, the place of the death and burial of the father of the Prophet returning from Rihlat al-Shita wal-Sayf, and also the place in which the Prophet was raised. Now moving on to the green dome, the bulge on the top was actually a hatch of light, and it was there in the time of the Ottomans when this was built, but later on it was closed off very recently, and in front of the dome there is the house of Imam Sadiq. Unfortunately, it is now toilets. This has happened to many of the sites. Anyways, now we return back to the Bab al-Salam, which enters you to the grave of the Prophet. Right before it, you would see a plaque showing the second Saudi expansion of the Grand Mosque. Now we move on to Bab al-Salam. The door of Salam is actually made with Majidi architecture, and you can see very clearly the distinct Majidi colors and also the lotus flower, which was a symbol for them. And as you are entering in this area actually belongs to the expansion of Umar ibn al-Khattab. There was also a prayer area for Umar ibn al-Khattab, but it is now in the place that we are walking, so it is in the road and route that takes you to the grave. To the right we have the expansion of Uthman that still has his prayer area until today. We are now about to enter the original mosque, and if you look at the columns, you would see that the golden bar under the column has a green signing that says this is the original border of the original mosque. The original mosque was expanded by the Prophet, peace be upon him, and we'll show you the markings inshallah. To our left now, you would see the Sulaymani pulpit that was built by Sulayman al-Qanuni in the year 901. He followed the Hanafi school of thought and so built his pulpit in the similar way that they do. Now, as promised to the left, we will show you the markings of the original Khaybar expansion by the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. It goes from here to the left, the sign that we saw before that shows the border of the Mosque of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. This is the pulpit of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family. It was very short. It was about 3 steps only and made out of wood. And Ibn Zabala, the historian, has said that between the pulpit and the wall, there was a small passageway for people to pass through from the southern western area. So there is like a small passageway behind the pulpit. This is the pulpit that is mentioned in the narration, Ma bayna qabri wa minbari rawdatun min riyad al-jannah. So this is the rawda of the Prophet. Here you could barely see the prayer place of the Prophet. It was last designed in the year 900 by Qatbai with mosaic. Opposite to it you would see the prayer place of Uthman, and on top of it is the silver dome. Between the two prayer places is the prayer place of Umar, but it was removed so that it would be a passageway. So the silver dome is above the 3 prayer places. The one to the left, far left, is the prayer place of the Prophet, the original mosque. And the one in the middle that was removed for Umar, it was the expansion of Umar. And to the right is the Uthmani prayer place within the expansion of Uthman ibn Affan. So now to our left, we are still walking next to Al-Rawda of the Prophet. That started from the pulpit of the Prophet and until over here. You would see that there is the grave of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. The large pillar that is to the left is actually part of the Rawda, that Al-Mamalik added into the grave. So it was originally from Al-Rawda. You would see in the middle column that there is a green plaque that has golden writing in it that says روح الفداء لقبر أنت ساكنه. This is the actual border between Al-Rawda and the grave of the Prophet. The grave of the Prophet to the right and Al-Rawda to the left. And the grave of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family is within his house that he used to live in. This is what people used to do before. They would be buried in their houses. You would see that there are golden rings on the grave. There's a great one. It shows the place of the face of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. His feet is to Al-Baqi', his head is to Al-Rawda, and his face and stomach and chest are facing us directly to the Qibla. To the right here you would see a piece of silver. This is called the Umari window, and it signifies the house of Hafsa. And if we go back to see the grave of the Prophet, you would see that there is a silver door, and this door was made by Sultan Ahmad al-Uthmani. We will now go closer so that you would be able to see the door very clearly, inshallah. And next to the door, you would see that there is a writing that says, Ya Majid. It was actually Ya Muhammad, but they put a dot because in the Sunni school of thought, you are not allowed to say Ya Muhammad. And next to the Prophet, to his right, in the direction of his feet, there was the burial place of Umar and Abu Bakr also. Just before you exit, this place is the house of Salama. This is where Ali proposed to Fatima, peace be upon them both. And right outside to the left, you would see the place that the Prophet used to pray upon those that have died, including his son Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and his family. And if you focus to the door that is behind it, it is the original door of Gabriel. It was one of the 3 original doors of the original mosque. Right outside you would see the houses of Uthman, one to the left, the small one, and one to the right, the big one, in which he was killed. We move on further to the right and we will see the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari within the corner right over here. There are 10 minarets to the Mosque of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. The oldest one was built in the year 88 by Al-Walid ibn Abd al-Malik. He is the first to build Islamic minarets. It used to be 24 meters long, and it was built by 20 Romans and 20 people from Egypt, from Al-Aqbat. It is 650 years old, and the Green Dome is 750 years old. 450 years later, Ottomans built this minaret, and the rest of the 8 minarets were built by the Saudi government. This is the card that takes the people that have died so that they would be praying upon them. Now we will move towards Al-Baqi', which is the graveyard. Half of it was actually within the borders of Old Medina. You would see a headlight to the top. It signifies the graves of the Imams, and in front of them is the grave of Al-Abbas. Next to them is the grave of Fatima bint Asad. This black fence signifies the original border of the Medina that people used to live in. Along the border was the grave of Ismail, the son of Imam al-Sadiq, which was later moved into Al-Baqi'. So from this area to the east, from the north of Al-Baqi' until over there, this was the house and the well and the mosque of Zayn al-Abidin according to Al-Hafidh ibn al-Najjar. This is the birthplace of Imam al-Baqir and Zayd al-Shahid also. Also, that area was the place that Imam Zayn al-Abidin used to carry on public mourning to Imam al-Hussein, peace be upon him, and his family. And here where we are pointing, it is the place of Bani Hashim, where all of their houses were. And next to the door to the left was Madif al-Imam al-Hassan, just right over there. Baqi' is a common name. There is 6 places that are called Al-Baqi'. This now is called Baqi' al-Khabkhaba next to door 34. There is Baqi' al-Al, Baqi' al-Khadamat, Baqi' al-Khair, Baqi' al-Zubair, and Baqi' al-Ammat, where the aunts of the Prophet were buried. The original mosque was made from blocks that were mixed from the mud of this place, which is Baqi' al-Khabkhaba, right next to the mosque here. Al-Imam Sadiq, peace be upon him, and his family has narrated that the mosque of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family was made and built 3 times. The first time was using all males and females that were present in different timings, and using the land of Baqi' al-Khabkhaba to extract the blocks using the mud. And behind Baqi' al-Khabkhaba, you would see the place called Al-Manasa', which was public lavatories, because there were no lavatories inside the houses. So the ladies at night would go to there, and the men would go there in the morning only, so that they would have separate places for that business. Next to it and directly opposite to it, at the door 34, between the 2 signs that say 34, is the house of Imam al-Askari when he was living in Al-Madinah. Within this area that are external to the original mosque, there are some houses over here that we also can talk about. There to the right is the house of Khalid ibn al-Walid, and to the left is the house of Umar ibn al-As, and after it is the house of Abu Bakr. Here in the Haswa, very close to the Rawda of the Prophet, is the house of Imam al-Hussein and al-Rabab and Sakina, the daughter of al-Hussein. In the far angle to the left and to the right is the house of Abdullah ibn Ja'far and Zainab, peace be upon them both. Behind the house of Abdullah ibn Ja'far over here is the house of Habiba, the wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him and his family. To our left is the house of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. This concludes our tour. We could not cover all of the sites, but these are some important ones, and hopefully may God bless you all.